everybody. Welcome back to the Talkin Hoops podcast with Rapheal Davis and Lewis Jackson. Today, we got a special guest. I know we say it often, but a real special guest, one of the OGs of the program, not just on the staff, but for the players as well. B, I don't know if this is true, but you probably got to have the most Big Ten championships out of player and coach when you combine them together. So how many you got?
Three as a player, and I got four as a coach.
That's tough.
Then I got a I
No
got a
further. A
got a big
seven-time Big Ten champion, Coach Brandon Brantley.
dang.
What's going on, B? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Blessed. Working with and for great people, great kids. So everybody, it's always a purpose to why you do things. And so like every day, man, I'm blessed to walk into this office, man, and these kids come through here and that's why I do it. So I'm blessed.
What is it? What's it like now? Because I mean, you came back after oh dang, this your 10th year, ain't it?
Well,
Oh dang, this is 12th year? Oh
well,
dang. So now what is it like now? You looking at it? Because I don't know if you ever, when you were playing, I don't know if you, because when we were playing, I knew PJ was gonna go into coaching. Like you kind of could see it. So I don't know if you kind of felt the same way about yourself, but I know you went and played and then you came back into it a little bit older. So what is it now like? You go from starting out as you come in a third assistant, and now you transition 12 years later, you're the head assistant coming off a Final Four for not just the program with your guys, but the program you played for.
I don't know if I call myself the head assistant. I've been here the longest. I don't know about Paul because like Paul started off here with Payne. He obviously left and then he came back. And so I mean um, everybody just like brings their own special talents or whatever into the office and it makes this thing work. You talked about PJ. That's how Paint was when Paint was young. Everybody knew Paint was going to be a coach. That was his dream, man. He just, and it's a beautiful thing when you're a young person, when you're that young, you know exactly what you want to do in life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't fall in love with really being a basketball player until about when I was almost out of middle school, and that's when I really started to fall in love with it because I started growing. I was that kid that went to the park, and if it was 10 people and it's a pickup game, and I was always going to be the last pick. I mean, they looking around to see if somebody's going to roll in late. Like, God, I guess I got to take this dude. And then I finally start coming into my own and start falling in love, and so my strength and coordination, started catching up with me, and so I was able to like bypass a lot of guys that were better than me. And then obviously when you go to college, like man, I had a great college career, but you put in so much work, and I'm just like, man, I'm not about to put in this work and then just put the ball down and go do something else. And so I went to Europe and I was over there for 10 years, and it was a great experience. And then when I was done, I remember um, coming back home after my last stint overseas, and I was just like, "Dang, this is it!" And I'm riding in the car, and I mean, I'm thinking back to when I first started playing in the third grade and in elementary school, junior high school, every basketball experience I ever had. And I'm just like, man, I gotta find a way to like stay around the game because I was just like, man, I love it too much. So obviously I tried my hand at some other things and it just didn't bring the same satisfaction. And so um, when I was done, I was fortunate enough to get on over at Ben Davis. So that was my first experience in coaching. Um, and then when Coach Shrews decided to leave that one summer with Brad Stevens and go to the Celtics, that was my opening. That was my opportunity to get on here at Purdue. And so I haven't looked back since.
That's what's up. Man, piggybacking on that, just thinking about like Purdue University now is being called Big Man U. And for me, I was around when it's not a knock to Coach Luss, Coach Ray, all the coaches we had come through, but we didn't have a big man, a technical big man coach. So like when you go in those rooms and you're recruiting those bigs, kind of like what are you selling them on now? Because I mean I've heard some crazy stories about the paint touches and things like that, but obviously you're getting the job done, and I'm just trying to wonder what do you do that's making the big man that's turned Purdue into a sexy university for bigs to come to?
Well, it's not me, it's us. And so AJ Hammonds, when I was trying to get the job and I was familiar with AJ, I didn't know him. And I knew he had a lot of potential, and I was just like, man, I was trying to get the job. So I'm telling Coach, man, I can help you with this kid because first of all, man, we're from the same area, so I think I can speak his language and kind of get through to him. And I knew a little bit about playing in the post, but a lot of what I learned, Carl Landry did his thing before I got here. Juwan Johnson did his thing before I got here. So I brought what I knew, but man, I learned so much from Coach. Man, Coach been in the game. Man, Coach. I mean, you ask Coach about anything in basketball, man, and man, it's going to be a class. But I was, Greg Gary was here, who's now at Georgia Tech. I learned a lot from him because a lot of the things, the way I looked at it, it was kind of individualistic. And once I started sitting down and listening to those guys, and they would like kind of taking things that apply to maybe how we run plays and scheming on the defensive end. I mean, just everything, man. And I was just like, wow. So okay, we can piece it together. But it's not just me. Everything's gonna start with Coach Paint. But man, I've been blessed. A lot of really talented people as far as the game of basketball have been in this office, and I've learned. And so people obviously, man, you see the videos on social media, and I'm out there working with the pads. But Terry Johnson, who's been on our staff, he came over from Ohio State, and he worked with the bigs over there, man. And he's brought some things over, and I've been able to learn from him. So I'm blessed.
No doubt, no doubt.
Talking about the bigs, you obviously not two-time National Player of the Year. Like we got to talk to you about them. When did you know Zach was different, and what made Zach different? Because obviously everybody attributes to his size and whatnot, but Isaac was big too. Like Isaac, if they got in a wrestling match, Isaac might put Zach down. So like, what made Zach different?
Coach Keady used to tell us, man, two of the most overrated things in basketball were height and halftime scores.
Mm.
When you hear all that nonsense, when people, well, he's just tall, man, that don't have anything to do. I'm like, have you ever watched a basketball game before? Like, if that was true, all the GOATs would be 7'5" and above, you know? So obviously we were recruiting some other guys. And so, man, Zach was probably, at the bottom of that list of the guys that we were trying to get in that class. And how recruiting goes, man, you can be hot one year, you can be cold the next. And man, we struck out on all those bigs. And credit to Steve Lusk, man. Steve was the one who knew about Zach. And so when he came up on his visit, I was like, man, this dude is big. But what intrigued me about him was that he played baseball and hockey. So I'm like, man, this dude's got to have some footwork, some hand-eye coordination. Um, but when you watched his film, he didn't play a whole lot. I think he only played like 3 minutes a game down at IMG. So in my mind, I was just like, man, he's gonna be a project. We gotta, as soon as he gets here, we gotta start doing some stuff with him. And I remember when he first got here, nothing. He didn't do anything to change my opinion. I still thought he was a project, but like he just always worked. He would stay after, and he was doing extra work. And you can kind of come in here on during downtime throughout the day, and he'd be in the gym shooting free throws or shooting his hook shots. So I'm like, man, that's pretty good, man. Like big fellas getting in the gym, putting in extra work. And then obviously, like he took a big step in the summertime to where, well, we thought he was going to be a project to, well, we got to play this guy. He's going to help us. And but the thing that kind of changed my opinion, because that entire year, he had to go against Travion Williams, man. Travion was a dog, man. And I remember one day something was wrong with Zach's arm. I don't know, he couldn't move it, he couldn't bend it, and he refused to sit out of practice, man. He was like, I'm not sitting out. And he's out here battling Travion with one arm. And I was just like, man, I said, man, we got a ball player. This dude's gonna be all right, man. Like, got the heart of a lion. And man, he just kept getting better and better every year.
Word, word. Taking it back to your playing days. So obviously you played a lot of big time games, played a lot of winning basketball. What was that? Let's say that one team that you probably got excited to play against, and personally for you, maybe that one matchup you look forward to. Like, I just can't wait to play him. I know it's gonna be a battle.
Um, Probably, I mean, Indiana was always the game that you look forward to because, they were our in-state rivalries, knew a bunch of those guys. And so I tell people this all the time. I said, man, I'm cool with so many guys at IU. I mean, phenomenal dudes. But, when we competed against each other, man, it was war.
Yeah.
But after that, it was all love. So that was probably the game that I look forward to because it garnered, so much in-state attention. But man, the Big Ten has always been the Big Ten, man. It's a war, man. Like, the coaching has always been good. We've always had a high level of talent, the physicality, but Indiana, probably Michigan. Michigan was like really good. They had a bunch of dudes that just, man, would just talk, man. And so,
Did you run into that Fab Five team?
yeah, we actually came out. So they all came
He
out.
called him a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
They were some real dudes. Like, because I don't want somebody to take this clue. Because, oh man, be disrespect. No, I didn't, man. They were definitely the most talented team I had faced in college, man. They were really good. So I was fortunate enough to be able to cross paths with those guys.
You got the W?
We actually we went up there and beat them my freshman year, and and they didn't like that, man, and they came back to Mackey later on um, towards the end of the conference season, and they put it on us in Mackey.
Oh,
And then
okay.
so the next year I redshirted. I was supposed to redshirt my freshman year because I was young, I was thin, I was underweight. But because Glenn couldn't play his freshman year, I had to play because our front line, we just didn't have enough. So that was the reason why I redshirted because I wanted to play, but my parents were like, no, you still need that strength and weight.
Yeah.
But like once you get that taste in your mouth, like you're not trying to sit out. And so actually the second year was Chris Webber's last year. He was only in college 2 years, so I missed that year. But they swept us that year. They were on top of their games that season.
No doubt. No doubt.
That's tough. So look, so you talking about playing days. You as a player, not a coach. Y'all down by one.
Mm.
Both of them on the floor. Who you giving the ball to, Zach or Big Dog?
Mm.
Um, what are we down by?
One.
Down by one. I mean, you got to go to Zach because he's so big. He's just. I mean, he's shot that hook a million times, but like leaving that huddle, like no matter whose name was called, I would feel good because it's just going to be a bucket. But because Zach is so big and he can get that position, like deep down, I was man, we probably got to go with Zach right here. So, and that's no knock to Big Dog because I mean you can give it to Big Dog anywhere on the floor and you're gonna feel good about it. So.
No, I feel that. Now you're talking about the playing days too. Just to go off of that, y'all won back-to-back Big Ten championships, and now y'all in a position again to be the first team in, I mean, not Purdue history, but Big Ten history to go back-to-back again since those teams. So kind of what's that mean to the program to be in that position, and how are y'all kind of getting the young guys to understand that we gotta go and we gotta go early after this because I know because when we came in, I came in after Lou Jack, so I kind of came in like, oh yeah, this gonna be easy, we just gonna win, but and we lost. So like the young guys, how do y'all get them up to speed so fast to say? Because y'all in the position to do something that ain't been done in a long time.
Um, I think we even though we lost Zach, man, we returned some guys that um have a lot of experience. We bring back three starters from a Final Four team. And so I think those young guys are intelligent enough. They see the work that those guys put in every single day, the film work. Both of you guys know, man, you walk in that film room, practice court, whatever, like Coach Payne is on it. So I know he's talked about in interviews. We haven't become better in recruiting. We've become better in evaluating. And so feel like we've gone out, we've gotten guys from winning programs. Like winning means something to these guys. These guys have strong work ethics, come from outstanding families. So they understand what it is. They ask questions. We were talking with a couple of those guys yesterday, and they were kind of asking about teams in our league. And um, um, I was just telling them, I said, man, I said this, because we played Grand Valley in the exhibition the other day. We went to Creighton, which was a charity game, but they just have no idea of, like, once Big Ten play starts, just the physicality. Like, I mean, it's warfare. You better learn to ball your fist up and walk out there and compete, because it's that serious. So I think they grasp it. Last year, we lost to Fairleigh Dickinson a couple years ago, and the mentality in the locker room was we get into a Final Four. Like they would say it all the time, and we got there. And so I think now, like, especially returning guys, they understand the significance of we won the last two conference titles. We got a chance to do this one. So nothing changes. We got to be on top of our game.
Speaking of losing to Fairleigh Dickinson, and then you hear it all summer how bad of a loss that was, all of that with the media and people were saying outside. Did you feel the pressure all year to basically say if we don't get to a Final Four this year, it's a bust because of what happened the previous season?
Man, maybe deep down, but I didn't think that way. 'Cause you know what? We lost that game, and that was probably the closest feeling I had to, like, being at a funeral without being
Mm.
at a funeral, man. It was awful, man. But when we returned to campus, we got to the office on Monday, and I mean, it was still just it was just a terrible feeling. And I walked down to the weight room, and our strength coach, I was walking around just checking on everybody, and our strength coach said, Coach, everybody on the team came in and got a lift in already. Guys were already down there working. And I was just like, oh, we're gonna be okay. We'll be
Yeah.
all right. I mean, guys just worked like all summer. I mean, every time you walked in here, man, somebody's working out, somebody's up here watching film. And so I knew, I was like, wow, we're gonna get to a Final Four. So I never thought, like, man, what happens if we don't get here? I never had that thought. So I can't even tell you, like, I can't lie to you.
That's real.
No, that's tough. That's tough. And just even going off the Final Four, because I remember just how things were when I played, especially coming off the year we were bad. Like recruiting kind of follows kind of success sometimes. What was it like this offseason going in the gyms with your chest out with the Purdue on?
Um, for me, man, I don't get caught up in all that stuff. I'm always happy for the guys, man. It's so different because I was able to win three conference titles as a player. And I remember winning the first one because I remember when I got to campus, man, I think we went 8-10 my freshman year. But you ever seen the movie He Got Game?
Yeah.
I think every college athlete, I think when you first arrive to campus, you just you think when you step foot on campus, like everybody just it's gonna be a parade for you, and everybody just gonna be screaming your name. And I'm walking down the street, man, people not even looking at me. Hey, then all of a sudden we start playing and getting the conference play. We go 8-10. And I'm like, man, coach talking about winning the Big Ten championship. And it was hard, man. It's hard. We, playing against the likes of Jimmy Jackson's Ohio State teams and the Fab Five. Indiana was on top of their games, man. So I was just like, man, we got a lot of work to do. And so when we finally won it, man, I mean, I was just so happy because I was just like, man, like I just remember all the work that went into it. And then now all of a sudden I'm on the other side as a coach and I see, the guys, you always remember like when you start recruiting guys and when they come on visits and they sitting in that room with their families and everything. And then like when they finally win it and to see the joy on their faces, like that's a greater feeling to me than when I was able to win it as a player. So walking around, like, man, I was happy for the guys because I knew all the crap that they took on social media after we lost that game. So I was definitely happy for Coach Paint because he deserved it, man. He put so much into this program, but boy, I was so happy for those guys. So it had nothing to do with me.
Well, nah, if you won't take credit because you ain't play, I'm gonna take credit because I ain't play. Because I was just at Costco like 35 minutes ago, and I had on my Purdue polo, and my wife had on a Purdue hoodie, and so it was a Purdue grad from 1987, and then some other people. She saw the Purdue shirts, and she was good. She brought the Final Four, and then I heard someone from behind her that was like a Georgia grad or something. And she said, "Oh, y'all went to Purdue? Oh, that's the best Purdue basketball." And when I first moved down south. It wasn't nothing like that. Like Purdue basketball was like Carson Edwards was kind of getting going, but even though Vince and them had it going, it just wasn't like Luke called. It wasn't a sexy program. Like now it's in the ranks of when you think of Big Ten basketball, you think of Purdue. When you think of college basketball, you have to think of Purdue. Because even though Zach Edey, two back-to-back two-time player of the year, ever you only won because of Zach Edey, whatever. Now you come into this season, he's still preseason number one in the conference, and you got you got a kid that was not even ranked in the top 100 who's up for National Player of the Year. So kind of like, what has that transition been like from last year's team to this team? What makes this team different from last year's team, but this team is still in the position to have just as much success?
That's obviously it's different because you don't have Zach Edey, and now you're trying to figure out how you're gonna move forward, um, without him. But that's the beauty of the game, especially college basketball. You don't have these guys for a long time. And so when you have them, you got some success. When they move on, now okay, well, we got different guys. We got to mold these guys. We're gonna play differently. But I think uh, the core message, it's still the same, man. Those guys know like what it takes, and so they guys walking in this office every single day. They watching film. They getting extra work in. Practices have been competitive and intense. I like where we are as a team, man. I think like every day when we practice, like guys know like they got to show up and they got to compete. I've been a part of some teams where you just didn't have enough, and you just like hoping and praying like guys get the message and they listening to us and we can get it right. So I think we're in a really good spot, man. You lose Zach Edey, but you still got Braden, Fletch, Trey Kauffman. Man, I think though like their leadership is the A1, because they show up and they bring it every day. And the young guys that we brought in, like man, they just hitch their wagon, on the back of those guys and just trying to emulate what they do every day.
No doubt. Coach, my next few questions is we getting into them top five debates. It's going to be a couple different ones, so I hope you don't run from them. But my first one, I need to know if you had to do a starting five from just Coach Keady era, who would be your starting five?
That's tough.
Man, from Coach Keady's era, I'm probably going like the three amigos, man. Like that, they were the reason, like why I fell in love with Purdue. So obviously Everett, Troy, Todd, um, Glenn at the four, um, man, probably Brad Miller at the five.
Respect.
Oh, that's tough.
Respect. That's a tough one. And then my next one, instead of the top five for Matt Painter's era starting. Well, not a starting five. Give me your top five bigs in the Matt Painter era.
Oh,
In order.
In order, right. In order.
I mean, obviously you got to go with Zach because of like what he's done. Um, man, Juwan Johnson, man, being a first team All American, a Big Ten MVP, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, like his resume um, was pretty stellar. Well, no, let me go back. Maybe Biggie, because Biggie was a national runner-up Player of the Year. So
Biggie got a Big Ten championship.
yeah, he does. 2017.
Big Ten tournament championship.
No.
Juwan got two Sweet 16 appearances too.
Biggie got Sweet 16.
Juwan got two.
Biggie wasn't there as long as Juwan. Biggie would have had three and Elite Eight.
Juwan didn't come in as hyped as Biggie. Juwan first year, he was still a development project.
Hey, but okay. Well, let's do this. Let's do this. Wait, real quick. Biggie came in only 3 years after high school. He didn't do a senior in high school.
That's respect.
After a junior.
I just was throwing
Biggie should have technically, if you think about it like that, Biggie should have did his senior year, missed my senior year, came in, won the Big Ten, won the Big Ten again, and then that would have been Carson year. They would Elite Eight. Ooh, they might have been a natty.
Well, I know who your man's is. I just was trying to give Coach B a little bit more history on Juwan, but I know who your man's is. Respect to Biggie. Much love. I just,
Shout out Fort Wayne.
It's on Coach B.
And I'm gonna get you too. Juwan had more help around him.
But Juwan wasn't Biggie expectations was to be that. Juwan wasn't expected to be who he was.
Facts.
And probably the last two, Carl Landry, AJ Hammonds.
Yeah.
I think those, man, them, like talented guys, man. So, and everybody, like it's hard, man. Like, because Ray, during COVID, nothing was going on. And so me, Ray, PJ's father, Isaiah, we would just sit on the phone for hours, man, and just debate. So I still think about like some of those debates, and you'll obviously as you get older, man, your thoughts evolve. And so now when people ask me questions like, who's the GOAT or who's top five, you really, when I was younger, I'd probably be like more adamant, in my thoughts and my opinions. And now like I look at like, people's eras and people's journeys. And, we talking about Juwan and Biggie. And like you talking about two guys with like two different paths.
No doubt.
You know anything about Juwan, Coach Payne always talks about, Juwan was on the B team as a freshman. And then all like to go from, like nobody on this podcast played on the B team as a freshman.
Right.
But nobody on this podcast was a consensus first team All-American in the first round draft. So I got so much respect, for people like that, man. Just like, because that tells me like that dude never gave up, to know Biggie's journey, like where he came from, with his family and man, his struggles with obesity. Ray remembers like, Biggie coming in as a freshman, like man, the struggles he had on that team. And the improvement he made from year one to year two, was phenomenal. So,
no, that's real.
That's respect. I gotta ask him this. I got a phone call from one of my people in the region, so I want to see if he gonna duck this. They said if you could take the best five, whatever areas you want to do, is Gary coming out with the win or East Chicago?
Man, that's tough, man. Because on the East Chicago side, Jim Bradley, which a lot of people like, I encourage you to do your research on a guy named Jim Bradley, played at East Chicago Roosevelt, came out in 1970. They went undefeated, won the state championship. And then the next year, East Chicago Washington wins it with my cousin Junior Bridgman, Pete Turgovich, Tim Stoddard, those guys. So, oh man, like I really had to sit down and like, kind of do some thinking, man. But it's gonna be war. I tell you that now. It's gonna be war.
They said you from Maryville anyway. And Lou, I will say too, you talking about the arguments we had during COVID, Lou. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this. Ain't nobody ever gonna give me credit, not B, not P, not Big LaSalle, but Drew Holiday,
yeah.
better than CJ McCollum.
That was the debate.
Oh man, it was crazy. They was calling me this when CJ was with Blazers averaging 20 plus, you know what I'm saying? And that's when Drew
I
wasn't
don't
really
think.
getting
Hold
off.
on, hold on. My comparison was C.J. McCollum and Klay Thompson,
And I said Clay.
and at the time though I thought like, and now like I mean Klay, I think Klay does go down as the greater player, but at the time I just thought C.J. was playing better ball,
Nah,
you know.
nah.
Even at that time,
But
though,
This was
CJ.
after the championship run. This is like ACL Clay.
But Clay was
hold
still
on
asked
now.
to guard the best
You know.
guards in the Western
And then let
Conference.
me give you another one, Lou. Let me give you another one. I said Joker was the best big man in the league back then. I said Joker gonna be better than AD. I said he gonna be better. I said he gonna be MVP. I said all this back then. They said, oh, Joker.
I
They said
didn't
Joker
I
was the
didn't
fourth best bid.
that was more you and PJ on the Joker and Embiid. I'm an AD fan
AD guy. You
right
was the
now.
AD guy.
Now people starting to see like
Nah, I said
AD has
AD was a,
always
I
been
said AD
AD to
was a
me.
front runner.
AD can't stay healthy. If he stay healthy now, that's a whole different
That ain't Joker's
conversation.
problem.
Absolutely.
He was healthy during that series. They played him.
Then they win the championship that year.
Mm.
Oh, not the next year.
But that was the year. That was the year we really had our debates was during COVID.
Oh
That's
man.
the bubble. That's they.
But now, real quick before we get you out of here, B, real quick before like as we talk about like you talk about the bigs and Coach Paint era, it's like now maybe not the five position, but more maybe in the Carl Landry role. Like you look at Trey Kauffman-Renn, and it's a dude. Like you hear Paint talk about him when he was a freshman. This dude could be good. He redshirted. Even last year, he got to start, but then really, it's Zach's floor. You know what I mean? Braden had the ball, so it's not that much. It's not that much pie to go around. Like what gave y'all the confidence and the thinking that we don't have to go in the portal and get anybody. We got our guy right here, and Trey can be our. He don't got it. He's not gonna put up Zach Edey numbers, but he can be our guy that we feel we can be consistent with.
The year before, like we'd be in practice in the summer, and Trey was down there giving it to Zach included, everybody. I was just like, wow, But obviously, man, there's only space for like one guy like that, and that's what Mason was able to make that thing work because because of his shooting ability, man, he gave Zach that space. And so, man, Trey had to sacrifice. And that's not an easy thing to do, to not be able to play your game and have to take on a role to help your team win. And like that kid didn't he accepted his role, gracefully. I do whatever it takes. And so now, man, we know what he can do. Is an unbelievable worker. Like he's one of those guys that like hadn't gone home really in the last 2 years. Like if he leaves campus, like he's going to some workout retreat or something, or like it's never a vacation for that kid. And so like anytime like you have somebody like that, you just feel you can hang your hat on them. They make you feel good. And then that's what that kid has done. So, we definitely have a low post scorer in him. Like he's expanded his game. I think he'll be a better 3-point shooter. I don't think he'd be at the volume of like Mason or anything, but I think he'll be respectable to where you have to go out and not be deep on him. He'll be a better rebounder. So man, he's really worked for this moment.
Yeah. Coach, my last question for you. Is it any possibility you might come out of retirement for the next alumni game?
Man, if you playing, definitely. Because, I know we're going to have a lot of Purdue viewers on this podcast, and I don't know if they remember like the first alumni game when you hit that lucky shot on me. If I see the rosters and I see the name Lewis Jackson, I'm going downstairs and I'm gonna start my little workout regimen and I'm getting ready. And I want the same exact play. We're gonna get in that horns alignment. I'm gonna switch off and I'm locking you down.
Same play. See, I kind of want to be on your team, but we could be opposite because just my little bragging moment. I'm undefeated in an alumni game. So I don't know. I might retire and just stay. I think I'm 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, 1-0. I ain't lost. So I don't know if I want to do
Get
that.
one.
Yeah, you
Nah, let me tell you something, man. When y'all blessed to be able to get to your 50s, and I just turned 51, man, just thinking about basketball, my knees start hurting.
no doubt.
No, but no, B, we appreciate you jumping on because you exhibitions are over, like you said, the trip to Creighton, got the freshmen kind of got that. I think it's dope that they get that kind of that bright-eyed experience out the way. Like Jakari fell down the first play of the game. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of get those jitters out, and now you go into the first game of the season, and it's not just the first game of the season, you playing a non-conference game, but this is gonna be a special moment in Mackey. It's gonna be history in Mackey on Monday. Raising a banner, hopefully the Final Four banner. I hope you guys get to really take that in, get to enjoy that. I hope the crowd really gets to understand the moment because from you talking about dudes staying in the gym and working out, going on retreats. Like I remember dudes used to go on retreats for the wrong reason when they would leave campus in the summertime. And now
Yeah.
we were losing games by 2030. I think we went on like a 8-game losing streak in the Big Ten. And to go from that to this, and I think that was 2013, 2014. So in just 10 years, I think it's real special. And I'm proud that y'all get to be a part of it.
That's Coach Paint, man. Coach Paint is on his A game. You know, man, them dudes walk in and he knows um, um, they know what to expect from him. Like you got to be on it because he's on it. And so I do hope like those guys will be able to, take that in, but not too much. I remember we won our first, conference championship, and I remember all the noise in the summer because Glenn left, obviously went to the NBA, and I mean everybody was. Um, One of the guys that played in the conference, Rashard Griffith, who played at Wisconsin, great player. And I remember he came over to my house in the summer and he was just like, "Oh, we smacking y'all, man. Big dog left. Oh, we getting y'all." And I just remember hearing that from so many people because I would play Jabari Parker's pop, Sonny Parker, had a pro-am league in Chicago. So me and one of my former teammates, Porter Roberts, would go up there and play. So obviously it was other guys in the Big Ten that played in the league, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, we getting y'all this year. It's gonna be different." And that was the motivation. I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, you think it was just Glenn?" And so, so we went. Glenn's the first year with Glenn, we were 14-4. And the next 2 seasons, we went 15-3 in league play. And it was just, so I'm hoping these guys find like, you're always searching for that motivation just to make you do something. So, like I said, don't, man, relish it because it's special. Like, not everybody gets a chance to go to a Final Four, but I think these guys realize, like, man, we still got business to take care of.
No, that's real. That's real. And the business start early because and I got one more question. Just with the scheduling, y'all schedule. I mean, coming off of it, because a lot of teams will come off of losing Zach Edey, come off of Final Four, and not knowing what they got coming back or whatever, and they schedule some cupcakes. Like, what did y'all do? Y'all as a staff kind of sit down and say, we want to play real teams, we want to get back after it, or is it just kind of Bloom kind of making those decisions?
Man, everything starts with Coach Paint, and obviously Bloom does the scheduling. But man, you think about it, like you think about like both of you guys were recruited. You didn't want to go to some program and play a soft schedule. Like
Facts.
you want to play against real people. Like I'm putting in all this work. I want to play against the best. How am I going to be able to call myself the best if I don't play against the best? And so that's part of it. Obviously, like last year, man, we pretty much brought our same team back. And so, like, those guys understood. And obviously we're going into a different season and we got more young guys on the roster. But, like I got full confidence in those guys. Like they'll figure it out. But like each and every one of those guys, when we recruited them, we talked about Purdue being at the top. Well, you don't get to be at the top playing a soft schedule.
No, that's real. Nah, we appreciate you, B. Appreciate you jumping on. Coach Brantley, everybody. And if anybody want to learn more information about crew life, Lou Jack is doing training and individual sessions over in Decatur in Indiana. And then crew life basketball camp, Thanksgiving break. You can find more information on RaphealDavisBasketball.com. Until next time, boiler up, hammer down, all hail Purdue. Everybody enjoy the season opener. Raising the Final Four banner should be a fun night.